Well, good to see all you people. I know this is not the normal time. This is not late night space radio. This is midday. Goddamn, there's a massive fire burning outside of LA radio. And we thought that it was kind of wrapping up over there. Unfortunately, that is, well, it was the case until the last 24 hours. And suddenly a fire near Castaic Lake, which is slightly north of LA, erupted. And in the last 24 hours went from a few acres to 10,000 acres. Some of this, the winds, of course, has contributed to this, but not a normal stream. We're just going to be talking about this fire and this fire only. We will try and keep up with it all. I'm going to try and give you all a little bit of a context here at the beginning. They'll probably switch to live coverage as soon as I can get there. Let's go here. This is basically the first video, I think, that popped up on all of this.
And now we want to share
about 19 hours ago.
What we believe is the start of this fire. This is from a camera that UCSD has in the area. It's the Whitaker Ridge camera.
Whoa, what the hell just happened?
Camera, excuse me, but you can see there the initial start of that fire and how quickly it has spread. We first got word of it burning 40 to 50 acres, and now we're at 500 plus. But again, that is a camera, a live look at the start of that fire, the Hughes fire.
And another thing about these cameras that are all over the state, there are networks of these cameras, which many of the forestry services are using AI to identify a fire start versus, and it actually can tell the difference between fog and smoke or clouds and smoke, and they actually can get a so much faster start on fighting these fires.
I love how they're talking, how they're like cheerleading AI while AI is literally heating up the planet. Whoa, what is the, are we lagging right now? What's happening? Are we good? I see a lag. What in the fuck is going on? Whoa, buddy. What in the actual fuck was that? Why am I disappearing? Stop that. Stop that right now. What the fuck? Holy shit, what is going on? Oh, come on, dude. Why? Okay. Okay, I think we're good now. So let's get back to it. I think it just needs literally 10 minutes every stream. I think I had established that at one point, which is why the 10-minute music break happens at the beginning. Oh, God. Alright, well, seems fine. Let's get back to talking about this.
Thanks to
Try
AI
to,
use
I guess.
of cameras, just like this one out of UC San Diego. So I know we've done stories in Northern California.
So you can see this was the first aerial view of this fire, and you can see it's not that big, right? This was about 20 hours ago or so that this came out. That this video dropped. This is from, I think, the same live stream we're about to watch here in a second. Let's just go to this. Because, yeah, this is the KTLA-5 helicopter footage from 19 hours ago outside of Castaic here.
50-acre vegetation fire near Castaic Lake. Fire authorities saying rapid rate of spread and spotting, which we're seeing with the wind and the embers that fly and can catch other things on fire, and Kaya's been saying that low humidity is a big issue with the red flag warning that we're under, with all of this dry brush being a big concern.
Yeah, it's a big deal, the humidity. I mean, that's what's been driving these horrible fires over the last 2 weeks, is just the extreme dry conditions and all the fuels that have been in some of our foothill and mountain communities. And look at that, again, as that fire crests over that peak, it is taking off. And there are no fire breaks that I can see in these little areas. So no fire roads have been carved out.
Wow, you can literally watch it
some
moving
of these areas that
through.
Rich is giving us these great live shots from. And if we take a look along the 5 corridor, you know, I think the furthest they're going to probably let people get eventually is that Sulphur Springs area, which is just north of the Castaic Junction. And then as you travel north along the 5, you get a little bit closer to Martin's. The Naylor Place is a little bit to the northeast of the Grapevine up there. So, and again, this is a major artery coming through the Grapevine.
Oh, yeah.
So with 18-wheelers, with high-profile vehicles, they've already been well aware that the winds are gusting very strong and steadily through many of these communities. As we now, again, continue to take a look, there's Lake Hughes Road. You can see we've got it mapped out for you. There is a fire break. So fortunately, that 7N09, that's going to hopefully slow down this fire a little bit. But again, you can see these ember spreads starting to allow these embers to jump across roads, across fire roads, and the smoke is quite dense, really thick, so it's tough to make out exactly what's going on in some of these bowls, some of these little finger ridges that are out there. And these little areas, you know, we know them well. As you take a look along the 5 right there, these little outcroppings, these areas along the hills, they've got a lot of gutters that are there, so it allows the water to drain, but within the gutters it's still a lot of dry conditions, a lot of dry brush, and that's going to continue to burn.
Yeah, and if people that have traveled up the 5 that may not be familiar with, you know, Castaic Lake, this is that part of the 5 freeway where it splits. Has a pretty big split. Usually that's like, you know, they're side by side going in both directions.
A couple of helicopters,
Again, Kai, what direction is the wind blowing?
Well, it's a little bit more out of the north today, and Rich confirmed that too. He's probably at about 6,500 to 7,000 feet right now.
Way to get
so
second,
he's feeling
Omega
a little bit more
Star.
of that northerly component to some of these winds, but they're out of the northeast. We're
Who
just
got
gonna call it
first?
north-northeast.
Did somebody do first
So
already,
these are
or did I
Santa
miss
Ana
it?
wind conditions, and we've had both the high wind warnings, wind advisories, and red flag warnings now extended throughout the remainder of the day today into much of tomorrow on Thursday afternoon. So obviously lots of forecasters, meteorologists, including myself, we're taking a look at some of the conditions, and they are not favorable, and that's why all of these
No, they are
warnings
not. You can
have
see
been
how
now extended into
fast
Thursday
that wind is
afternoon,
moving.
because we're still seeing bursts, little hits of wind, and I've looked at the wind future cast, which we can show you a little bit later. And again, as we make our way through the 3, 4, 5 o'clock hours this evening, these winds are going to get a little bit stronger. We'll probably see gusts of up to 45 and 50 miles per hour.
Wow,
So again,
dude, you can see this
the utmost
literally
of urgency
moving
trying to
through
handle on this
The
fire.
brush.
We have it, and there you can see on the right-hand side of
My
your
God,
screen,
this thing is moving
conditions
fast.
up there on the fire lines. Again, what really stands out is the fact that we're looking at the humidity fluctuating between 6 to 8% and the gusts up to 33%. And let's take a look at the rest of the afternoon. Again, you can see in these particular areas as you make your way up towards Fraser Park, the I-5 corridor coming out of the Santa Clarita Valley, there you go, boom. At around 4 o'clock this afternoon, the winds, we'll start to see some of those gusts up to 50, 55 miles per hour, and those winds are going to stay up as we make our way through the midnight hour. And look at this, even into early tomorrow morning. This is during the 5, 6 a.m. hours. That
Oh,
takes
look at
us
that.
throughout
Moa
the
Nope
rest
is
of
first,
tomorrow
even though she was
afternoon as well,
technically
all the way
second.
until 7
It's very
p.m. So we're
confusing
looking
for me.
at probably another 36 hours.
But I
of some
guess
very
Omega
strong gusty
Star,
Santa Ana winds, and on the left-hand side of your screen, that is a live
left
look at
that
the
space for you,
I-5,
I guess.
And you can see traffic flowing
I'm
for the
not on
time being
multi-chat.
right now.
I can't
But
even
as
see
we
what
make our way
Twitch
further
is
to the
saying
north, I'm
right
certain
now.
that smoke is starting to play a factor in the possibility of maybe closing down that I-5. We'll continue to take a look at the CHP CAD throughout the rest of the afternoon, or the rest of the next hour or so, as a matter of fact, because again, that could happen pretty quickly.
Sorry, you were broken.
Cal Fire is now saying this is 100 plus acres. Some people are texting me, other reports say more. We're going to go with Cal Fire for now. This is the reporting that we have confirmed. We know there are evacuation warnings and orders, and we want to go to Samantha Cortese now in the newsroom, who is tracking all of that. Sam.
Hi, Lauren, Glenn, Kai. All areas in the immediate vicinity, as you've been saying, of Castaic Lake are under mandatory evacuation orders. Evacuation warnings are in place for a large area surrounding the lake. That's what you're seeing on the right side of your screen. To be specific, the warnings are for Bitter Canyon, Charlie Canyon, Sloan, Green Hill, and Ridge, and the orders are for the immediate area around Castaic Lake. For further clarification, the warnings are stretching nearly to Sandburg on the north and almost as far east of Green Valley. The western perimeter of the evacuation zone is the 5 freeway. So we'll be watching this closely as evacuation warnings turn to orders, and hopefully they can get a handle on this. But I'm sure all of us are sitting here hoping to not have to continue this breaking news coverage of yet another fire affecting homes or people's lives.
Can I pull this over here on top of this? No. Okay, look at this. Just for clarity on where this is. Here's Castaic, which is technically in Los Angeles County. This is the lake that we're looking at here. Right? If you zoom out a little bit, you can see this is Santa Clarita. And then Simi Valley, San Fernando. Right? Los Angeles here. This is where all the other fires were, right? Beverly Hills, Palisades are right around here. Pasadena over here, which is where, the Eaton fire was. And so this is just not far at all, right? You can see this right here. And this is, we're going to get into it. This isn't even the only fire burning right now. Other fires have popped up since then. Because this is from 19 hours ago. I'm trying to get us to current, but I just want to give us
very personally.
I just want to give us a little bit of context on all this, how this all unfolded.
Yeah, Sam, thank you for that. I know you're going to keep watching all of that, as we know these situations can change pretty quickly. We do know we have seen water dropping helicopters from above already. I wonder if we could go back up to Rich. Rich, have we seen any fixed-wing aircraft out there yet? Have we seen any ground crews be able to get to the area yet? We know that they've been requested, you were telling us a short time ago.
Yeah, they certainly ordered some hand crews, some strike teams, additional firefighters, to work from the ground here, and they also have tankers that could be on order. I haven't seen that specific request just yet. I'm sure it's only a matter of time if it hasn't been made already by the incident commander. But we are starting to see, we do know that there were at least a county fire hawk.
Wow, it already jumped that fucking, oh
I'm
my
not
god.
seeing him right at the moment, but of course.
Oh my god. Wait, go back. Yeah, this is the exact same spot. They just got done telling us about how this road was going to slow this fire down. And where were we just now? 7 minutes in? How many minutes later? Jesus Christ. Look. It's 5 minutes later, it's already jumped the road. Of course, because as you can see, the smoke is almost flat to the ground. It's pushing really far, whatever, right to left, west to east to west. And yeah, you can clearly see it's already jumped that road in 5 minutes. That is insane.
County.
That's how quickly this thing sprung up. Like,
Firehawk that was here dumping
wow.
water. I'm not seeing him right at the moment, but of course, you know, as you're seeing here, the smoke is very thick, so he could be anywhere around the perimeter of the fire. I don't have an exact total of aircraft that are here working the fire as of right now. We're trying to look on the radars and do what we can to try and get you an update as far as how many water dropping helicopters. I can tell you that we're seeing there's one of the county fire helicopters right there that just made its way out through the smoke, and right behind that helicopter we're now seeing an additional helicopter. So they're here. They're often difficult to see with how much smoke this fire is pumping out, but they are.
Oh shit, is it Pitchforks' birthday today? Congratulations, Pitchforks, on getting slowly older. Truly though, congratulations. Do something nice for yourself today.
They are dumping water. They do have areas here.
Enjoy the stream, you know? Something. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here.
Maybe the Bouquet Canyon Reservoir.
Oh my god, look how much smoke is pouring off of this thing.
They do have
oh my fucking god.
Nearby areas where they can make those quick turnarounds and keep dropping water here along the fire lines. Earlier when we first got here along Lake Hughes Road, we could see those strike teams, the hand crews that were making their way up Lake Hughes. I don't see them right now, at least from our vantage point. We're doing what we can to maintain a signal here when we get to the north side of the fire, and we're trying to transmit through that thick smoke is when we start to take those video dropouts. So we're kind of secluded here at one vantage point, but over there on the north side of the fire, on the lake, on the Castaic side, we definitely started seeing some of those spotting fires that were flaring up. So it's actually getting a little closer to Lake Castaic. It's Lake Castaic, obviously it's not going to burn right through it. It's going to have to burn around it. So that would take some time before it would get closer to the 5 freeway. So Lake Castaic is really preventing this from making it to the 5 freeway, at least for right now. But there's lots of fuel here, and it can certainly make its way up and around Lake Castaic and make its way towards the 5 freeway. We pushed in to the 5 freeway just a moment ago, right around Lake Hughes Road. I can tell you the both directions appear to be open. They will have to drive up the Grapevine through the smoke, but as of right now, the fire is most active or only active on the east side of Lake Castaic.
Going on right there is pretty intense.
Yeah.
That spot where you see all that black smoke coming up.
Yeah, that is a tremendous amount of fuel that you're taking a look at that is currently burning. And Rich, could you talk about the water resources out there? You've got Piru, Pyramid, Hughes right there.
Castaic Lake.
Castaic,
right there,
everything. Could you talk about that and how helpful that can be?
Yeah, I mean, they basically have an endless amount of water at their disposal here as far as using those lakes to siphon water into the helicopters. We could see, I believe we still have the super scoopers here in town, and they could use the lakes as well to dip down and take on water. As a matter of fact, we're hearing that they are already en route, if not here already. Let's see if I can find him. David, our Sky 5 pilot, who's doing just an amazing job for us, keeping us safe up here at about 8,000 feet, has now spotted the super scoopers that are flying from north to south, so making their way down to the burn area. You can see they fly in packs. So there's the additional one. So both super scoopers now here. Good news considering one of those was grounded for that possible drone strike over the Palisades fire, but here they are flying together. They're going to take on thousands of gallons of water, and they're going to keep spilling it over the edges and the perimeter of this fire, along with those water dropping helicopters. And we'll see if those tankers make their way in here as well to start laying down the retardant lines to help slow down. Okay, and I'm being told right now that there is a tanker that is right. Let's see if that's air attack. That could be a tanker right there. Okay, so we do have some planes that are making their way into the area to make those water dropping or the retardant drops, and that's going to help slow the spread. It's not going to put out the fire, we know that, but it's certainly going to give time for those helicopters to make those quick turnarounds and keep pouring water. So resources continuing to pour in here into Castaic. Kai, as you said, right there is a Chinook. So he's also taking water out of Castaic. If Castaic gets overwhelmed, they can go up to Pyramid and they can get water there. I'd have to look at, I can look off into the distance to the northeast, and I can see the Bouquet Reservoir, plenty of.
It's probably not going to rain until next weekend. I mean, that's probably true, Donald. And, I've never not been about, dry areas getting rain. I'm into that. And yet, in this moment, I've never been more scared of rain coming to this area. Right? We were talking earlier about how landslides had occurred just from the water being used to put the fires out. And I'm sure it'll help put the fires out, but we've been talking about massive landslide danger now in the hilly regions outside of LA, where all of the rubble is. The LA government officials have been coming out and talking about that over the last, I want to say, week.
Water there, so bring as much aircraft as they can bring, and they're not going to have any issue taking on water and making those quick laps. And here we go now, the Chinook inbound here. That's that Colson helicopter that's contracted by SoCal Edison. Has been a huge advantage for us over the past couple of years over these fires. They can dump considerable amount of water, more than those Firehawks can, and you can see he's just flying right along the ridge, and he's going to dump right where he feels it's most necessary. We have those Helco helicopters, the air attack, the incident commanders, all in sync, making sure that these resources are getting where it is most critical, and they want to try and keep this from moving any further north and to the east. If it continues to burn more towards Lake Castaic, it's not going to have anywhere to go unless it burns completely around the lake, and that's going to take considerable time, and they're just going to keep bringing that water in to the area. So again, we're working on updated numbers as far as acreage. We're clearly well beyond that 50 to 100 acre update that we recently got, but this is hundreds, if not already over 1,000 acres here based on what we're seeing. It's a pretty large area.
Wow.
And it's burning on both.
13 minutes after they get helicopters in the air, it was already at 1,000 acres. The Chevron only said 100 acres, and within 13 minutes, they're talking about 1,000 acres. This is insane. This thing, oh my God. Oh, I don't want to make any dire predictions right now.
Of Lake Hughes Road. Here's the super scoopers. They've made their lap. They've gotten their lower altitude. They're inbound, and they're ready to drop. We could see it right here, right along the ridge line, and they usually dump in tandem, one after the other. So that is some of the water. I don't think that's his entire capacity. He could come back for another round. We'll see here, and here comes the next super scooper. We'll see. He should be dropping water right along that very same line, right there on the ridge line, okay? And putting out some of that fire and helping to cool down some of that vegetation, and just, again, continue to give them more time to make those turnarounds, bring in more water, and hopefully they can keep smothering the flames and keep the advancement to the northeast. It's actually on the northeast flank of the fires. That is exactly what we're seeing right there. You see air attack and the fire dropping helicopters from LA County Fire, at least at this point, but we could start seeing mutual aid resources make their way into the area, and that's likely going to be the case. Let me send it back to you in Hollywood.
Yeah, and for those that have been watching since 11, LA County Fire says the call came after this fire at 10:38, so it's now been one.
Yeah, that's right, William. This does seem to be a different fire. This is the Castaic fire. The reason it's called the Castaic fire is because it's outside of the Castaic Lake. I guess I'll do this again. I'll do it with. I'll make it bigger this time. I'll bring this up. Right, hold on. Where are you? Come on. Maps. Why is Maps not responding now? Oh my god, stop being annoying. Let's just be friends, huh? How about that? How's that sound? There we go. Do. Well, I'm just gonna keep playing this while my Maps application starts working.
Reported. LA County Fire responding, and also Angeles National Forest said their firefighters are responding to this brush fire as well. We're watching the various air attack aircraft in the air. We have the Super Scoopers, we have helicopters, we have fixed wing, we have the Chinooks, which dropped 3,000 gallons of water.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to ask Rich, you know, a lot of people don't realize this is all kind of like a choreography. Does it actually work with one aircraft kind of scouting and actually directing where all these aircraft should go and drop their water?
Glenn, I believe you were asking about how they direct the aerial resources, and you know, it's an effort of a few, and that's going to be the air attack, which is usually in a fixed wing aircraft that is high above. It's usually at the highest altitude when it comes to the fire resources that are flying over the fire. Going to be directing generally going to be the fixed wing. However, he can direct the entire show that's going on down here. Then you can get those Helco helicopters, and those are going to fly at a lower altitude, and those are going to be assisting with the effort of the helicopters. And of course, you got the incident commanders that are down there on the ground, which are, you know,
it's completely taken over that road, the 5 highway or whatever that's called.
It's really amazing to see.
The one they were telling me was going to slow it down, completely overtaken already.
You know, when I can recall the one night, it was a Friday night, Palisades fire. The fire was encroaching on Mandeville Canyon, and we just saw a barrage of helicopters, one after the other. I would say about 10 helicopters that were just bringing in one.
I'm gonna click through this because, like I said, this one
on the screen now at the perimeter of
this is like the first live stream that they put out.
Evacuation warnings, which have turned into evacuation orders for some areas, and the warnings have expanded. And we can take a look here at the Golden State evacuation warning area. That is now on the other side of the 5 freeway. This is like 15 minutes later from where this fire is burning. But everything up along the 5 freeway, that includes Paradise Ranch area, is under evacuation order, and that is fairly new. Also, I was just listening to Ms. Dirks talking about the Genesis.com resource. What we're looking at on your screen now is the CAL FIRE resource. According to Genesis, it looks like some other areas which may not be populated, but I'm going to list them off anyway. Sloan, Hillcrest, Romero, which is in the Halsey Canyon area, as well as the Cambridge area, are now under evacuation order. They do suggest that you go to alertla.org to sign up for evacuation orders and warnings if you live in this area. For those who live in Santa Clarita, they're very familiar with this. We've heard some people saying they say goodbye to their home as they go into work during these high wind events. Wow, what a drop we're seeing on the left side of your screen. Just to note, when that happens, people in the newsroom clap. We are very excited to see these aircraft up and working to create a perimeter around the fire zone there. But back to the map, Santa Clarita Valley is just to the south of this. Of course, the hope is that this will not enter into populated areas. And on the map, on the top of your screen there, that is where we're seeing the evacuation order expand and warnings expand. The yellow is evacuation warning. That's now up against the 138 in Antelope Valley, and on the west side, the Caswell area along the 5 freeway is now under evacuation warning. That also includes Sandburg and 3 Points. Those areas under evacuation warning now. They say that evacuation warning is being issued to most areas north of Castaic Lake. That is not new. We've been looking at that on the map and from Sky 5. And they say, be prepared to leave. We heard retired captain from LA County, Bob Goldman, say when you see that smoke heading over your home, that means the fire is coming in your direction. Be ready to move and get that go bag ready. Brush fire southeast of Castaic Lake. Let's see, they have on this evacuation warning map. They're just repeating, they meaning the National Forest Service, CAL FIRE, all the different resources I have to look at this Hughes fire incident just keep repeating themselves, saying the evacuation warning is north of Castaic Lake. Be prepared to leave. So when I see any specific updates on this map, one that we saw in the last few minutes was all the areas south are now under evacuation order, not just warning. And one thing I think is pretty cool about this CAL FIRE map is you can see where the aircraft are on the map. So that little top right-ish area of your screen, we're seeing where these aircraft are flying, how they're doing perimeter mapping of this fire. Everything around Castaic Lake, Castaic Lagoon under evacuation order, not warning. And as Kai was mentioning, Kai, I believe you said 30-mile-per-hour gust range. We can see that on this map as well, where these winds are picking up 14 mile per hour on Castaic Lake Drive. Just near the 5 freeway, we're seeing 2 miles per hour, but that's updating as the winds are coming in on this CAL FIRE map. So I'll keep an eye on these evacuation warnings, the evacuation orders, let you know if those are expanding. Just wanted to zoom in here on the populated area near the 5 freeway at Castaic Junction. This is Newhall Ranch Road, and that is where the evacuation warning butts up against. And some industrial businesses, limited residential in this particular area, but if I just zoom down, you can see how close that gets to Magic Mountain Parkway and all the neighborhoods in Santa Clarita. So the evacuation warnings now expanded down to Newhall Ranch Road, Castaic Junction, the 5 freeway, and that looks like, let's see, Mayo Drive. The name is covered up underneath the wind miles per hour, but the evacuation
goes right through that evacuation order area. Obviously, people have to be able to get out, but it does make you wonder what's going to happen with the 5.
Right, and evacuation orders are for Cambridge, Castaic Lake, Green Hill, Hasley, Hillcrest, Paradise Ranch, Ridge, Romero, Sloan, and it's important to know your zone, because a lot of times we'll see numbers given out or letters and numbers. For example, E008 is a zone around Castaic Lake, not populated, but if you are near a zone or in a zone, you should know the number, and you can find that at CAL FIRE. Evacuation warnings are still in effect for Bitter Canyon, Charlie Canyon, Golden State, and zones 4, 5, 9, 11, and 11A and B.
Sam, great information. Thank you so much, and really helpful how you were zooming in the map like that and showing us with granularity. So really, thank you so much.
And I got to tell you, Castaic Lake being there, what a blessing.
Yeah.
Especially as Kai said, it looked like the fire's kind of burning into that V that makes up Castaic Lake, which is certainly is going to help the firefighters out a lot. But there is concern with the wind blowing, embers cross that lake, and then you've got a problem. And that's when you got to really get concerned about the populated areas.
Right, absolutely. And it looks like we have a camera on the ground now that is showing the very large plume of smoke from the ground. If our producers could tell us where that camera is, this is sort of the first ground shot that we've had. This is Ridge Route Road, north of North Lake Elementary, where we have this camera position showing what the smoke is like from the ground in one of the surrounding areas. And Glenn, you were looking at video showing what people could see from Thousand Oaks, a big plume of smoke billowing.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to keep cycling through this so we can get closer to current. I just wanted to give us once again some context on how quickly this all broke out.
Now going on close to 2 hours. It's grown to more than 500 acres. It is prompted mandatory evacuation orders in the Castaic Lake area, like the neighborhood where we just saw Alina. You could see people hurrying on foot, rushing around. Sheriff's deputies in the area, they typically tell people to get out and notify them of the situation and also help orchestrate. We've heard from authorities with LA County Fire as well as Angeles National Forest. Both are involved in the firefight and unified command. There are crews on the ground, and overhead we have seen helicopters doing drops. We have seen fixed wing aircraft laying down lines of frost checker fire retardant, which slow the spread of the fire. We've seen the super scoopers, which drop water on the fire. So we are also seeing.
This is just insane. As if CAL FIRE and the local wildfire-related resources weren't already overtaxed as is, considering how much they've been dealing with over the last... What? How long has it been now? Has it been 3 weeks yet? However long it's been going. And this just pops up out of nowhere.
The 5 freeway impacted. There is a closure in the area impacted by the fire. We have learned that was new information reported by our Samantha Cortese a short time ago. You're seeing overhead just the smoke that is enveloping the area. We've seen video, people sending from Thousand Oaks where they can see the huge plume of smoke from that area, and you can get a sense of the fire and the smoke and the homes and just where that all is in relation to each other, even though the fire is burning in dense, dry fuel in the hills there. It is impacting residents at this point in terms of evacuation.
Yeah, but again, the good news is it's actually burning right into that into Castaic Lake, which is kind of has a V shape to it.
Yeah.
So if it burns into that, that's good news. That certainly is a big help for the firefighters. And there's also a couple of other bodies of water around, like Pyramid Lake, which is they can go to get pick up the water and quickly come back and fight the fire to help those firefighters on the ground. And again, for people that may have traveled up.
This is very optimistic talk right now. They're only an hour into this coverage, and they're saying it's at 1,000. But as we know, because of the title, this thing's already at 10,000 acres. I'm going to move up another 15 minutes.
Way, and that's why this area here is under evacuation orders. We're going to walk over this way to see if these folks will talk to us. As you can see, they're also trying to evacuate to quickly leave. The air quality here is absolutely awful. You can see a lot of the ashes coming down here. So not only is this a health hazard to stay behind, but also a very dangerous situation considering the fire is pretty quickly moving. We're going to go here to see if there's anyone to talk to, but in the meantime, you can see that that's I believe it's a deputy. They're coming by, just making sure that everyone is packing up to leave. And of course, for good reason, you don't want anyone to stay behind under these conditions. And we heard someone ask us about the freeway earlier. Now, some of the exits getting to this area already closed. Parker is closed. Lake Hughes, we know that they are monitoring the situation. They're not necessarily letting people come into this area, but if you're trying to leave, the 5 South for the most part is pretty open, so you can very quickly drive away. Hi, sir. Can we talk to you, please? We're with KTLA. Looks like you're rushing to leave.
No, I'm going to stick around as long as I can. I'm going to water down the roof line and water our back area. We got a green belt that has some dry brush back there. But yeah, I think
you better turn that fucking hose off when you leave.
Best I can tell, it's looks like it's going that way, not towards us.
That has been one huge problem with all this, is that people's, what do you call it? Either sprinkler systems turned on and didn't turn off, or people left hoses going, or they were burned to the point where they were left open. That's part of the reason why there was empty fire hydrants, because there wasn't enough water pressure in the system.
So this happened a couple
let's
years
hope this
ago,
guy is responsible with all
where
this.
It's about maybe 300 to 400 yards directly behind us. Good thing is we have a lake. Yeah. And I don't see a lot of water resources. It tells me if it was critical, we'd see a lot more activity up here.
Not in this neighborhood, but a lot of water resources directly above the fire.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. So,
okay.
Again, a couple years ago, the fire that was 400 yards back, and that fire's who knows how far back it is, but there were resources all over here. Mm-hmm. So the fact that I don't see any is odd.
Okay. And what's the feeling for you? What time did you get the alert to leave, and what was that like for the last few hours?
I got a bunch of phone calls, maybe 12:30. My son goes to Castaic High. He called me and told me about it. He came here, picked up our dog. He left to safety, and then I got up here and have been kind of dealing with what I'm dealing with.
And you're going to stay behind?
I think so, for as long as I can. I mean, right now it seems pretty calm, so if houses were on fire, it'd be a different story, but it doesn't look like it's critical right now.
Well, stay safe. Thank you so much for speaking with us. So as you can see, people here in this community rushing to leave. Let's see if we can talk to them as well, just to find out what the game plan is,
This guy's
where
not
they're gonna
rushing
go.
to
We've
leave.
had
Maybe
fires
these
for the
people
last
are.
few weeks here in Southern California, so people are.
That was a weird way to wrap up that interview. As you can see, this guy who said that he's definitely not rushing to leave is rushing to leave. Okay.
For the most part, pretty conscious of what they have to do, probably have a go bag to go. As you can see, they filled up their car here with just some of the basics that they need. Hi guys, will you speak to us please? We're with KTLA. Are you packing up to leave? What's the plan for you?
Yeah, we're just turning on sprinklers, getting all the important sentimental stuff. And then I don't know if we're leaving yet or not, but they're telling us to.
Okay.
Yeah, just getting everything important.
Did you come back home to pack up, or were you home when you got the evacuation order?
My girlfriend's house. Her brother was here. They were here, and I came over to help. They blocked out the road, so I had to run a couple miles to get here. But I'm just trying to help them get everything.
Okay. And how are you feeling right now?
I'm okay. Just want to make sure that we get all the pets and everything. That's most important, and everything. Material things aren't that important. We can. We'll be fine in that regard, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
Hoping for the best.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. As you can see, people are nervous. You really don't know what to expect in a situation like this. It doesn't feel like there's a direct threat to this community, but of course that can change. It just depends on what direction the wind goes. It depends if the wind gets stronger, which it is expected to get stronger throughout the day. Again, embers, that's always a risk. Embers fly far, they fly quickly. So people, as you mentioned, they have their sprinklers on. We saw a gentleman earlier watering down his roof, his property, doing whatever they can. But the number one thing you can do in a situation like this is to follow the evacuation orders and to evacuate. I'm Lena Berman reporting live here. Guys, we'll send it back to you in the studio for now.
Alina, thank you so much. Couple questions. We do see deputies going down the street making an announcement. Are they telling people to evacuate? This is a mandatory evacuation order area, correct?
It is a mandatory evacuation, that's right. They are telling people to evacuate. I don't know if they can actually make people evacuate, but for the most part, majority of the people in this neighborhood, whoever is home, they're packing up to leave. We did hear from a gentleman earlier who said that he's choosing to stay behind. Now, I don't know what's going to happen there, if they are going to make him leave. It really just depends on the severity of the situation.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Glenn has a
question. Yeah, and I mean, the fact is you can already see how much smoke is in the area, right? Like, it's so hazy around here. And that one guy's just taking it way too chill.
You're aware, the wind is blowing in from a southwest direction from the northeast in your direction, in fact. Now, the fire, it's burning into the lake at this point. As long as the ember doesn't come over and catch one of those houses on fire, that neighborhood will be behind. But that neighborhood is kind of wedged between Castaic Lake and the 5 freeway. So the wind is, in fact, blowing in that direction.
Doesn't sound like a good place to be.
You and everybody else out there.
Yeah, absolutely. The wind right now isn't an issue at this moment. It was earlier. Now, of course, the wind could change. It could pick up. And that is the concern here. You can see those deputies there going onto this property, probably to check to see if there's someone there in the back. There's a gentleman here. Let's see if he'll speak to us.
All right, I'm going to keep this going. Let's go here. 15 minutes later.
Well, Alina, we appreciate appreciate that. We'll give you a little time to reset. Maybe one of those neighbors would let you in their backyard so you can show us the vantage point you're talking about. Thank you so much for that live report. We want to, for one, maybe we can do the split screen. We have some video of Castaic High School being evacuated. That is on Valley Creek Road in Castaic. Those evacuations happening. And then overhead, Sky 5 Rich Prickett has a look at the traffic as people are evacuating. Rich?
Yeah, indeed, we are starting to see much more congestion, not only on the 5 freeway, but the old road, which, as we all know, runs parallel with the 5. So northbound side of the 5 going into the Grapevine is really starting to jam up. They're starting to close off some of those off-ramps, Parker, Lake Hughes Road, those off-ramps on the northbound side, at least from what I can see, possibly southbound side, I'll confirm that for you, are being shut down. Some people going around the barricade there. I don't advise that.
Hey, Pitchforks, are you still here? If you're here, just type one message.
Put yourself
I'm going to do
closer
something for you.
into the area that's under evacuation. But here's the old road. So right there on the top portion of the screen, it's running parallel with the 5 freeway. That is the old road. So we're starting to see more and more people starting to make their way towards that area. There's a neighborhood. And I mean, on any given day, I can't imagine there'd be this much traffic pouring through the neighborhood streets. This is the Hasley Canyon area. And we'll work to get some streets, but for the most part, it's just along the old road on the west side of the 5 freeway, and we'll make our way. Look at the overpasses here. That's Hasley Canyon Road right there. You can see the roundabout. People, trying to make their way north, possibly.
Pitchforks is here. Okay, here you go. This is for you, Mr. President. There you go.
To their homes, if they are under evacuation warning, they want to try and get ready, set, and get ready to go. And the sheriff's department, likely the sheriff's department, that is going to try and make their way through the traffic. So, these are the situations that law enforcement and firefighters have to contend with trying to navigate their way through all this congestion. You can bet that they are not only trying to get to a spot where they can start to control traffic or kind of force it in one direction in a more orderly fashion, but also make it into those areas that are being evacuated so they can give everybody a heads up and try and make sure that they are getting out of the areas, because
wow,
those
look at the
areas that are
traffic
under
already.
Threat,
wow.
Firefighters are going to get in there for that structure protection. So
people are really trying to get out quick.
The quicker they can get in there, the quicker they can try and
that line of cars.
Home. So we'll come over here. This is the 126 and the 5 freeway, which turns into Newhall Ranch. So the 126 dead ends into Newhall Ranch. We're seeing.
This is only an hour and a half into the coverage from KTLA, which I would assume was one of the first ones doing coverage on this situation. Well, I don't have to assume. I'm subscribed to enough news stations on YouTube to know that they were the first ones out.
It was manageable, but I mean, just look at that. That's all the congestion here that's going on at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday. This isn't typically what you would see in this area. And there's the old road right at the top of the frame, and everybody making their way south, so they'll make their way past Magic Mountain and make their way further away from the Castaic area. We saw those deputies that were in the Castaic neighborhoods right along the ridge lines where the smoke is very thick overhead. And as for the flank of the fire, let me widen out here. The flank of the fire still overall is on the east side of Castaic. We're seeing some of those amber casts, some spot fires that push it a little closer to Castaic. But for the most part, I'm going to say that it's burning right along Lake Hughes Road, east of Lake Castaic.
All right, I'm going to go ahead even further here. Oh, wow. The images start getting crazy.
This is such a high-risk area, too. I mean, you can see all this shrubbery right here, that it just catches like that. No wonder it went from 50 to 500 in no time flat.
It's now more than 5,000.
Yeah, it's...
Wow!
You can see it's just all ready to...
It was more than 5,000 at this point, 2 hours in?
Burn. It's heartbreaking. It's sad. It's super sad because these are our homes. These are,
Oh my God. And
you know, where we've lived for years and years and years.
20
and
times.
It can all just be
10 or 20, wait, 100 acres back here on this chevron. Look at that. 100 plus acres here. This is 9 minutes into the stream. And then over here, where are we? Over here, they're talking about 5,000? 50 times increase in size in 2 hours.
at risk and fighting and doing something so
Holy
honorable.
shit.
We're so incredibly grateful, and we pray that God's with you, takes care of you guys, and we can, you know, get this thing tackled.
And what's your name?
Cassandra.
Cassandra. How long have you lived here, Cassandra?
In Castaic for probably over 25 years now. Yeah.
So you've seen your share of fires.
Oh, sure. And every year it just gets worse and worse. And it's so sad because we love this place so much in Southern California, and they just pop up. I mean, it looks like war zones because of all the fire and the smoke and stuff. So it's hard. It's hard. It's really hard to see your hometown go in flames.
Absolutely, and it's so beautiful when you stand here, you see the landscape. It's a beautiful place to live. I can imagine how gorgeous the sunsets here are, but also on the flip side, it's a dangerous situation.
Absolutely.
Is it moving north or
It
south?
really-
It's moving south towards LA. The wind is blowing over the mountains. Those Santa Ana winds they're blowing southwest, which is directly into LA, essentially,
It's
into the same places that just either got done being burned or just barely missed being burned. Hold on, is the map? Let me see if my maps application is working again.
That's such a
See if I
beautiful
can get a
place. It's
better
such
picture
high
of this
risk
for everybody.
fires and can be demolished in no time flat. So
We've been talking a lot about insurance and homeowners getting coverage, especially considering homes in a
there we
fire
go.
zone. Do you have insurance for your house?
we do, and it's hard. It's
Wow,
not
lucky.
the first time I called home insurance that I got it. I had to call around. They wouldn't cover certain zip codes, area codes, and it's hard to find.
I'm gonna pause this. Here we go. Let me pull this up. Okay, so you can see here, this is Castaic Lake, right? And let me see. This is, where is it? The five. Well, disregard. Point is this is where the fire started, right? And or is this the 5? This isn't the 5, is it? I think it's the 101, right? Point is, fire over here, right? This is Castaic Lake. This is where the fire started. This is where they are right now, I believe, where they're talking. Right here where this interview is happening. And just south of this, here's Santa Clarita, right? And if you zoom out a little bit, you know, you can see just how close it is to everything, right? Here's Castaic Lake. Wait, let me bring this down. Castaic Lake right here, and here's LA, right? Simi Valley. Here is the Pacific Coast Highway, the PCH. This is, where the Palisades fired absolutely destroyed practically everything in Malibu and much of Hollywood over here. Glendale, Pasadena, Eaton fire was over here, right? So this is not far. This is like, what, 5-10 miles maybe less. How? I wonder. I think if I pin it, it's not going to actually give me the distance. Oh, but here's a yeah, it's like 10 miles. Maybe a little bit more. Wow.
Home insurance that will cover you, but obviously at a cost.
Right. Well, definitely something that is a necessity. Thank you so much for speaking with us. Looking at the fire, guys, you can see it's always changing. The smoke is darker. It's getting lower and lower along that ridge, and it's getting closer to us here in this neighborhood. So everyone here is just keeping their fingers crossed, really just hoping for the best. As far as fire personnel out here, of course, they are making water drops. There's fire personnel in these neighborhoods. We have sheriff's deputies here as well, making sure that people are listening to the evacuation orders and leaving. But this area right here, this ridge, is going to serve as the staging area if this fire happens to get any closer, because you can see how critical this area is. Now we have Edison property.
All right, I'm going to skip ahead like 30 minutes, see more of what was going on at this time.
Family fashion, because even on the best of days, there's traffic up there, and I want to make sure we can do it in an orderly fashion to make sure that people don't panic. Although I know that the sense of panic probably is there, but I would encourage people to go to lacounty.gov/emergency if they want information regarding evacuation orders. But understand, these are coming from our first responders, and it's important for us to heed that warning.
Let me ask you this. President Trump scheduled to come out here Friday to tour the fire damage. We've had, I think, 3 fires in San Diego yesterday. We, of course, got the Palisades, the Eaton fire. That's the most damage. Now this fire. First of all, showing in the damage, where do you start at this point? And number one, and number two, should maybe he wait a few more days because of what's going on?
Well, that's a loaded question, because if he waits, people criticize. If he comes, people criticize. He should do what he's going to do, and that is to come and see for himself what we're dealing with.
Wow, BCAT with the hot take. See what I did with that? Fire pun.
That's hot.
So there's probably never a good time after a disaster for any president to come out, because of the fact that there are those perceive it as a disruption. But I welcome the visit, and I feel it's important for him to better understand, because if I hadn't seen Altadena and I had heard about it, I would not have believed what I've seen. It's like a bomb went off, only the chimneys are still standing.
Yeah, yep, and LA, on the LA City side, Palisades fire, same thing. Supervisor Barger, you've been doing this a long time. I'm blown away at what we've experienced this month. Have you ever, in your history in this region, recalled a time of this much fire?
No, and I think it's a wake-up call. I think that there are lessons learned. I know that there was a debate over cleaning out trees in the forest that were dead from the beetle bark, or the bark beetle. I think that we need to reevaluate how we go about.
Oh, the goddamn bark beetle!
Fires in high.
Why do we have to keep ignoring climate change and all of our human-caused environmental problems? Like somehow it's just, it's God's will or something. No, we're fucking up as humans. Okay, wake up, people, please, for the love of God. You care about God so much, wake the fuck up. This one ain't God, people. This is us. We're fucking up. And this is where we're at, The goddamn bark beetle. I almost completely forgot about the bark beetle. Oh, boy.
Building in high fire zones. When we look at rebuilding in Altadena, they talk about, I hate the word hardening, but that's what they call it, the homes, so that they are protected against fires. I'm encouraging our governor to work with me, because at the end of the day, many of these people are in marginalized communities and don't have the means to rebuild to the degree that may be necessary. But we need to work with them to make sure that when they rebuild in a way that is cognizant of the fact that another fire may not happen in the next 10 years, but it could happen in the next 50, and we should build.
Another fire might not happen in the next 10 years. We're not even done with the fire that was happening right before this, man. What are you talking about? Way too much optimism from this caller right now. Just wild.
Overhead just after
maybe 10 or 50 years we'll see another one like this.
Now, hours later,
this just got started 2 hours ago. How about you stop talking about the next fire for a second?
And Kai, there are aspects of the weather. We're under a red flag warning that are contributing to this, that set the stage for this, all of that. Yeah, what are we looking at?
And a very rare fire warning that has been put into place for much of Los Angeles County this afternoon, which means that ignition could be possible anywhere in LA County and could spread quite rapidly, and we're seeing signs of that because the ember spread is definitely a cause for concern this afternoon, especially up near the Castaic area, as we do take a live look at this Hughes fire on the right-hand side of your screen, moving a little bit further in a southerly direction, and a lot of that smoke now moving into much of the northern and northwestern sections of the Los Angeles County, all the way into Ventura County, even out to the coast. We're getting a lot of viewers that are calling in and sending pictures from the Ventura area, and that smoke is definitely moving in that direction. So you want to be careful for the rest of the afternoon, again, especially if you are in Los Angeles County surrounding.
Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out where these buildings
County,
are located
Riverside,
that we were
San
just looking
Bernardino
at.
County, under a red flag warning through tomorrow, Thursday night at about 8 o'clock. So all of Southern California continues to be under difficult and extreme fire.
Yeah, and the fact is the mayor had a bunch of firefighters prepared for this. I was looking at a story from this a few days ago where the fire warning was announced. But I think much of the fire resources were dedicated towards a little bit further south of this. Oh my God. It's the worst. It's the worst fucking guessing game ever to be playing right now while we're doing this.
Winds right now sustained at about 17 miles per hour. Some gusts into the high 20s.
Where will the fire pop up next?
The all-important humidity value will continue to stay bone dry, 6% right now, and that's what's really driving this fire is the extreme dry conditions and the fuels that surround much of this area
just cheered
and all
100
of Southern
bits.
California.
Guess the battery plant stopped burning.
Hey, thanks for the bits, Omega Star. You guess the battery stop? Oh, the battery plant in Northern California. They got, yeah, I think that one did stop burning. I did hear that.
Afternoon. So if you are in one of these areas where it is a mandatory evacuation, it is the best thing that you could do for yourself and your family to heed those warnings and to leave your property. Again, we've been telling you about this for the last couple of weeks, to have that go bag ready, to have all of your documentation, your pharmaceuticals, your medicines, anything you need to be away from your home for more than a couple to 3 days. A change of clothing. We've heard people that have had to leave without even having a toothbrush or toothpaste.
Yeah. Yes.
So, you know, those simple things, those are what really matter the most, especially when, unfortunately, you might have to spend the night in a hotel or a shelter. And we certainly do hope that that does not happen to you and your families. But again, you've got to be prepared. It's rather random. And we're taking another live look at one of the fixed wings that have come down from Canada, doing again a remarkable job dropping water on these fires. And also we've got a lot of the DC-10s that continue to encircle this fire, and they're laying a lot of retardant. You can see that on your screen as well. A lot of that pink retardant that we've become quite accustomed to over the last couple of weeks, helping to
basically all of California is painted pink right now.
Yeah, Kai,
fire
and
retardant.
On the right, we were seeing some of the extreme weather created by the fire itself. So when that happens, is that just in that immediate area of the flames?
It's so difficult to pinpoint where that's happening, but we're seeing those fire nados as the fires run uphill.
More fire nados. Just what everybody needed. More fire nados. Let's go like 20 minutes further. It's already up to the edge of the lake.
And the eastern sections of Ventura
Wow.
County, which means that a fire
could
ignite and explode quite quickly. And that's something to keep in mind throughout the rest of the day today. So hopefully everybody who lives in LA County is continuing to be aware, stay alert, have that go bag at the ready at all times.
Let's get back up to Gil Lavis and Sky 5. Gil, that was a great shot you just had of the not one, not two, but 3 choppers filling up with water.
Well, that's right, Glenn and Lauren and Kai. You're looking at one of the tankers now that's working. This is the DC-10 that's working on the furthest eastern flank of the fire. He's coming in to lay that fire retardant drop along the lines here to prevent it from spreading towards like the Santa Clarita area. But here comes the drop right now. He's going to drop on this line here that you've seen they've been dropping here for a while now. Here comes the drop. So again, a lot of active fire, but a lot of unburned brush up here. You can see all that brush underneath the aircraft there that they're laying that fire retardant on. But as I pan to the left here, you're going to see the extent of the fire line here on that southeastern flank of the fire, and it continues to push off, the smoke going off.
It is, oh man, you look at those lines that get created by these things, It's only like, what? 1,000 yards or something like that, maybe like a half a mile that it can drop, and it's not even fully dispersed in that area. Most of it's relegated to here, you would say. But, oh god, with the speed this thing is burning, it just seems almost just not enough. You'd like
on that
1,000 planes all to be dropping this shit at the same time.
southeastern flank of the fire, and it continues to push off, the smoke going off over the 5 freeway and beyond. Now I can tell you that we just were looking at the 5 freeway, and they have, the CHP has closed down the 5 freeway northbound from the 126 freeway. In fact, let me see if I can show it to you from over here, but it's in this area. It is shut down in both directions. The Grapevine is shut down because of the fire right now, but continuing to put up a lot of smoke, and is really just laying down over the hillsides here, and we can't even see Lake Castaic at this point because of all the smoke. But again, a lot of active flames out in this area. Fortunately, no structures out here that are threatened at this point, but as I push into one of the hot spots, you can see all the heavy unburnt brush here that is just going up like crazy. But again, a lot of smoke being billowed out of this fire, and you can see a little fire tornado working there in this flank of the fire. But again, firefighters doing what they can with the air tankers here, helicopters doing water drops, getting water from the lake and then coming and putting it on the fire lines. So a very active fire that is completely out of control.
Yeah, completely out of control is right.
Down a portion. Has that happened?
Yes, CHP Newhall has said that due to the Hughes fire, the 5 northbound at the 126 will be shut down. They say please continue to be patient as emergency crews continue to work in the area. They say the 5 is fully closed northbound at Newhall Ranch Road.
Blame the billionaires for stealing all of California's water. That's certainly part of this. That is certainly part of this. I mean, the Resnicks have just been... it should be illegal what has happened in terms of how much water has been allocated to their businesses. Like, it is disgusting. For pistachios and almonds and pomegranates and shit. Come on. Come on!
And also southbound at Grapevine. They say significant delays are expected and drivers are advised to plan alternate routes or delay travel. The closure will remain in effect until further notice. So that is the update on traffic from CHP. Also, CAL FIRE has been issuing road closures on its website, discussing what we've been saying for the last couple hours. Ridge Route Road at both Lake Hughes and Templin Highway, as well as Lake Hughes at Pine Canyon. The 5 northbound, we just went over that, as well as the Grapevine, closed. So please prepare. If you are driving north, if you need to go any further, that we've talked to a couple emergency responders who said the 14 may be an option to drive through Lancaster. I mentioned earlier I have some family friends who live out in the Camarillo area who unfortunately went through that fire, and they say that driving back home today was pretty rough, and even driving anywhere surrounding Simi Valley. Glenn, I know you mentioned Fillmore over near Lake Piru. Just please check road conditions before you head out, because we're seeing surrounding traffic get pretty gnarly out there as people, 19,000 people are told to evacuate around Castaic due to this Hughes fire. I also wanted to mention, if people are evacuating, Valencia High School is the temporary evacuation center. Again, temporary, as it is in an evacuation warning zone. And we've now learned that the College of the Canyons will be the host site to a news conference set to begin around 4 o'clock this afternoon. So we expect to hear a little bit more on this firefight, how it's going, where they expect the winds to move this fire. Lauren, I know you were going over the mass amount of resources that we've seen from all the different agencies helping to fight this fire. But again, today at 4 p.m., College of the Canyons. Initially, we thought that would be an evacuation area, but we quickly learned they were prepping this area. Now we know for maybe a staging site, media, news conference, as this huge fire.
Okay, let's keep going through the vids. This was the first live stream. Let's go on to some of these sort of clip vids that I went through and found.
Kevin, I'm looking behind you, and I'm flashing back to Palisades when it was such a fiasco of people trying to drive out of there. It didn't seem like there was much traffic control. This seems to be remarkably different.
Yes, and we can see the sheriff's deputies here are telling people when to go, when they need to stay. It's very orderly. And you're talking about, Philip, you know, flashbacks to the Palisades. I mean, there are those homes back there in the distance. I mean, this fire, it may not be threatening them right now, but still, it could be very understandably so, too close for comfort for both the homeowners as well as the first responders who need to decide should we or should we not issue evacuation warnings and orders. So we can still see some more fire crews coming and going from here. We've just seen a whole line of first responders coming here, not just from fire, but also sheriff's deputies for traffic control and to help enforce these evacuation orders. I was hearing you talk about some ramp closures on I-5. I can tell you on I-5 right around here, it's very slow going. It's very bumper to bumper as people just kind of stop and look at that massive dark plume of smoke right there in the distance. I mean, after what SoCal has been through these past few weeks, it is just an awful sight to see that again. I mean, we know they are tackling this from the air. We can hear and see the helicopters coming overhead. But still, I actually have to say, it looks like that smoke over there is a little bit darker now than we arrived here a few minutes ago. So just more signs that fresh brush is burning here. And we know, Giovanna and Philip, that it's very dry brush.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown.
You can, like, watching this footage, you can just see it growing in front of your eyes, which is not a normal thing so much.
It does definitely seem to be pushing against it, but you know what? Any type of wind will actually bring those flames to life, even though,
like, of course you can see fire move, but I mean in terms of its like speed at which it's like traveling across the land. Like, some of this footage is insane, where I'm just like, wait a second, did it just take over like that entire section in that moment just now I was watching? Like, it's just blown my, like, some of this footage is
the actual fire
insane.
itself. I mean, the fire wants to run up the hill and the winds are pushing it the other direction, but any type of wind is going to fuel those flames, and that is what I'm sure the reason why this thing has just exploded the way it has. Now, these are actual firefighting aircraft that are here already starting to drop water on it. You can see them making their way past that area, and some folks at home might be like, well, why isn't he going to put that out? They're going to try to slow the progress. They're going to try to slow the progress, so they're going to be making the drops probably up over here or on the sides over here, so it doesn't spread, you know, north and south or east and west. But yeah, definitely a lot of bulk of fire underneath there, a lot of vegetation burning. If there is, again, another positive, the water source that is nearby is going to be Lake Hughes or near Castaic. That is very, very close by. So as far as the aircraft getting water, it's going to be a quick turnaround. But look at all that fire that is going on down there, and you can see how it's already spotting and just jumping from location to location. This is going to be a massive fire, and I venture to say it's going to be here till the rains come.
All right, I'm going to move past this live stream from Fox. This was around the same time as the other one we were just watching, so I'm just going to get us to one of these. Yeah.
I'm Lindsay Reiser. It's 4 o'clock here in New York, 1 p.m. in California, where a new wildfire has developed in Los Angeles County. We take you now to CBS News Los Angeles' live coverage of that fire.
Here looking very, very crowded as people appear to be heeding the warnings. If they haven't checked their apps or their news apps or gotten an alert, they may just see the loom up that is to the north of them and realize that this is a major brush fire in Southern California again, and that now it's affecting their community and they need to pack up and leave.
Yeah, I think there was kind of a sigh of relief when we heard that there was rain in the forecast this weekend. We heard that the winds would not be quite as strong, and I think people, at least in some areas, thought they could kind of somewhat let their guard down, and then we saw this just explode. And also when you see this wider angle, you see how dry the conditions are there. There's just like no green. It's just all brown and so dry, and look how massive this is right now. You can also see how few roads and arteries there are around this fire in terms of access for firefighters and roads for people to be able to get out.
Yeah, it is remarkable to see how much smoke there is in the area. And our meteorologist, Paul Deanna, was talking about the wind conditions. And originally we were hearing they were around 32, and he let us know that in this area they were more at 35 and 39, and they were expecting the winds to pick up. I don't know if Paul can hear me now, but so often we talk about those sundowner winds as the winds pick up as evening comes. But, we are going to see stronger winds in this area as the day progresses, Paul? Oh, okay. Sorry, Paul's not there. But Mark, we do often see, these sundowner winds and the winds picking up in these areas. I know they're very prevalent in Simi Valley areas, and I believe in this area as well. As the evening starts to come, we will get more winds, right, Paul?
We will. What we're going to see is kind of like a wave coming up and down. During the day, the winds get a bit stronger. In the evening, the winds get a bit weaker. But the overall theme of this is going to be one of our windier spots. That's going to continue for the next 24 hours. I expect winds to be at least 20 miles per hour in this area through tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. We kind of hit our peak of the winds for the day about an hour ago. We can switch over to our weather maps. If there's a very, very, very thin amount of good news with a fire that's spreading toward a populated area, it's that the winds were.
So just to this road right here, I just looked this up, Lake Hughes Road. That is this right here. That is this road right here, and you can see there's a bunch of buildings over here. I don't know if it goes around the lake, so I don't know exactly where it is. But as you can see, there's definitely other roads, buildings that are off of these roads. And so this fire is rapidly approaching, and I mean, this road leads all the way straight to the town of Castaic here, which is just north of LA. It's in Los Angeles County.
Switch over to our weather maps. If there's a very, very, very thin amount of good news with a fire that's spreading toward a populated area, it's that the winds were in the last hour up to about 40 miles per hour, and right now they're down to about 31 to 33 miles per hour. That said, that's about the speed through a neighborhood. Think about driving your car.
Sorry, I gotta go back. Okay, so yeah, that's right on top of it. So this is already basically they were talking about the V shape of this lake. That is not going to help, because if I'm right, yeah, I'm definitely right about that, at least from what I can see. So what we were just looking at is this V-shaped lake, and the fire's all on this side, essentially, it looks like. In between this part of the lake, at least the fire we were looking at just now, you can see all the smoke there, right? This all appears to be right here. Like all along the southern edge of this lake, in between the road here and, wow, okay.
Miles per hour, and right now they're down to about 31 to 33 miles per hour. That said, that's about the speed through a neighborhood. Think about driving your car through a neighborhood. Maybe you're not moving terribly fast, but you're still moving at a pretty good rate. It's faster than you could ever go on a bicycle. So that's the speed that some of the smoke is moving. That's the speed that potentially some of the embers are moving. And that's the speed of wind that all these brave men and women who are flying the planes and helicopters are having to deal with as well. So the wind is not as bad as yesterday, certainly not as bad as...
If I'm not mistaken, if it gets above 50 mile per hour winds, the planes can no longer fly. I think we talked about this a while back, like last week or something. But if the winds get too high, they will just have to stop flying.
Last week or the week before, but it is bone dry air, and we are still looking at wind gusts right now anywhere from 31 to 33 miles per hour, specifically zooming into Castaic Lake. Temperatures around 70. It's a warm day out there. Even in the mountains, it's about 70 degrees, and the winds are pushing the fire to the south and west. That's why when we have a fire burning in an area where there aren't many people living, but downwind of there, we have significant communities. You can see the neighborhoods right there, and then just to the west of the 5 and right along the 5, just to the south of the lake, a lot of neighborhoods there. And that's the direction that the wind is pushing this fire right now. I'm going to step off screen and show you our downtown Los Angeles camera.
because a number of people may be familiarizing themselves with this fire because of the smoke plume that you can see. And we have gone almost completely cloudy over the Hollywood Hills and points to the west in western LA County and eastern Ventura County, because that smoke plume is pushing the smoke over places like Camarillo, over places like Agora Hills, probably stretching now all the way out toward Malibu. So even if you're 40, 50, 60 miles away from this fire, you are being impacted by it, because now it looks like a cloudy day. Those aren't clouds, that's smoke. Now, we've talked about how dry it is. For November, we average about an inch of rainfall, about 1/5 of that. December, we barely got nothing, and in January, we have received nothing. So we are talking about...
What is the percentage on this? 5? It's like 6.3 inches usually. 0.16 over 6.3. What is that? Trying to think. What is that? It's tiny. Oh my god, it's like 0.1% or something insane.
Winter that we have ever had. We've had 2 1/100ths of an inch of rain from the 1st of December through today. It's the 22nd. So we're talking about 53 days. We've had 1/50th of 1 inch of rainfall. That is not much. So we combine.
Wow, and look at these figures they have up here. Oh, you can barely see it. I'll full it. Can you see it better now? Oh, and they even cut it off on there. But if you, I mean, you can see here. This is some historical data. December 1962, 1903, and somehow even then, in these historically low rain periods, 2024 is even less. That is wild.
The dry conditions with the very dry and very low relative humidity. I'll switch over to that map now. Look at these relative humidity numbers. This is drier than Phoenix. Phoenix is not as dry as we are right here. Chino, 4% relative humidity. Santa Clarita, 7% relative humidity. Burbank, 8% relative humidity. And downtown Los Angeles, 9% relative humidity. So we're talking about very dry air. The ground is completely parched. And I'll switch back over to our wind map. The final piece of the puzzle here would be the 30 to 33 mile per hour winds that are blowing. It's kind of a 1, 2, 3 punch, or maybe 4 or 5, how many weather elements you want to throw in there. None of them are favorable for fighting a fire. All of them make this that much harder. Back to you.
All right, Paul.
All right, I'm going to keep going through these videos as the fire has progressed since this video dropped.
We can get it back as we take a look at some of the aerial assets. These are the big ones. Stu, we got you back.
You got us back. So we just saw the building. It is still standing out there. So that is a good sign. I see there that they have the plane, the big DC-10, making its way into this area. I don't know if that's going to be on this side or the other side of the fire, but they are definitely the ones that are going to be like the shining lights that are going to come through and really kind of show everybody what the air assets are and how they can help these situations. But right now on the southern flank of the fire, these flames are being pushed by the winds, heading out towards the west. That's going to put it closer to homes and maybe even over where Justin was just moments ago, where he was talking about that house with the private firefighters, because I could see the lake in the background. So I would venture to say it's somewhere up on this hillside right here. There's that dozer. That's the dozer that sits on the back of that truck when it transports, and he's actually out there cutting more fire lines. Hopefully they're going to be effective, but the flames out here continue to burn, and the air assets know about it. I think they're going to be doing a drop right now. Right there, that is the lead aircraft. So the lead aircraft, we've talked about it in the past, it's going to fly the road line, and it might put out a little bit of smoke, and what's going to be behind it? It's going to be one of the ones that drop the Phosgec. So I'm not sure if they're going to do a drop right now or they're just assessing the area, but you can see them making their way past here, and that Phosgec plane following behind. So I would venture to say they're starting to look over here saying, all right, we got to either finish this line, so they might make a big turn, come back, and start finishing this line right here, or they might just start dropping in another spot, maybe try to stop those flames. That dozer, look at that.
Why is that so black?
What a great, you know what? The guy that's driving that thing, that must be amazing. I mean, you got to remember, that's a trained professional. That's not just some random guy driving up next to.
Why is this? What is this guy talking about? Must be amazing. Must be a great time to be getting cooked inside of a bulldozer right now. Fox News. There you go, people. Wow. Let's keep going. Where's this one compared to the Palisades?
And again, we are watching it as it's been moved.
So we did this once or twice already, but I'll show people again just to keep updating people. This is the Castaic Lake fire. I believe this one is around here on this southern side of Castaic Lake here. This is a little bit northwest of where the Palisades fire was happening, right? So here's Castaic, here's Los Angeles, right? Here's Malibu, you can see directly south of Castaic. Beverly Hills is over here. So basically the whole region that just got done burning is southeast of Castaic here by about 20 miles, I think we established.
Since we last were with you, or first with you, excuse me, about an hour ago, we were above Castaic Lake. And what's interesting now is we're directly parallel to it. You can see it's across both sides of Lake Hughes Road here that is closed off. It has been closed off for a while. So it's only personnel here and media. And we're just watching this as it grows. The winds look like it's shifting the other way, Sean. I'm with a photojournalist, Sean, going kind of like in the east, but definitely moving towards that west direction. You can see as the whole black sky is being filled up here with smoke. This happens in a matter of minutes. And again, it's strategic moves that are made when fire officials say it is coming this way. We start moving, we start leaving those areas, and that's about it. Hi, how are you, sir? Good, how are you? Good, good. Can we talk to you a little bit about what you guys have been seeing? What's your name?
Fred Fielding.
Fred Fielding. Where are you from?
LA County Fire.
Tell me a little bit about, so we are seeing this move quickly and these winds are picking up.
Exactly. There's a critical rate of spread for this fire. It's burned over 5,053 acres. So one of the most important things right now is for people to stay aware of the evacuation orders and warnings so that they can go very quickly if they need to.
Yeah, and what have you been seeing here? Because now it's crossed both sides of the road since we've been here for over like 30 minutes to 45 minutes, and the winds are picking up. Tell us a little bit more about what you're seeing behind us.
Yeah, so these flames, this vegetation right now is extremely dry. We've had 2 years of above average rainfall. 2023 was 150%. 2024 was like almost 200. So you've got a lot of these light grasses where fires can start. And then if it gets into the old growth vegetation, there's a lot of energy there. So combine that with the winds, and you've got a recipe for a very high rate of spread. So we're working really hard. You see all these brave firefighters going in there to try and knock this down, protect structures, make sure everyone's evacuated. And that is what's going on exactly right here.
Yeah, and we are watching as we're here with not that many homes, but across the lake we're seeing, wow, we are seeing our friends and our colleagues with folks who are worried about their homes. Is that what you're trying to do, make sure that it doesn't cross over that way?
Yeah, we're trying to keep this as small as possible. I would actually say at this point, we should probably start moving. We should get out of here because this area, all of this right here could light up. So at this point, I think we should move back and then regroup.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate it. Live on camera, that's what we're at. So we'll leave it back, guys.
We have Matthew Seedorf. He's been talking to homeowners in a neighborhood. Matthew?
Yes. Matthew. Yeah, we're off of Lake Hughes Road. I'm having a little bit of communication problems, but you can see we're right at the edge of the fire. This spot fire just broke out right ahead of the flames. This is on the southern end of the lake. It's pretty intense right now. The winds are really whipping as the flames are pushing closer very fast. We just got law enforcement just came by and was kind of warning everyone in the area that flames are getting dangerously close and out of control. And you can see just more and more spot fires, and we're so close right now. I mean, you can almost feel the heat, and you can hear the crackling and the popping of the flames as this continues to grow and spread very rapidly. Yeah, it's just pushing to the southwest very fast at the edge of this parking lot right now, and you can feel the winds whipping. You can see just from a vantage point, the lake is to our right now. So that's playing defense for the town. But again, this is pushing on the southern end, all these flames very rapidly, and you can maybe even hear the winds as they pick up this giant wall of fire right now coming over Lake Hughes Road.
We are watching this spot fire here with you, Matthew Seedorf, with great concern.
Wow.
Grateful
this thing
to
is just
see
taking over
firefighters
the
right
entire
there on the
mountain
scene with you as well.
right now.
You will know when to
This
get out
is
of there
insane.
quickly, and they will let you know when you need to get out of there quickly. Obviously, from the direction of the fire, we see that it is burning uphill. That's got to give you a little bit of comfort there.
Yeah, we feel like we're in a safe place, but you can just hear it and feel it as it's going up this hill, just pushing and ripping right up this hillside right now. It's just, you can feel the heat and hear the roar as it's coming closer, and maybe you can even see all the stop sign and the trees as
Look
they
how
are whipping
fast this
around,
thing is
as this
taking
flame
this
gets
whole hill over.
closer to this road. James, I want to see
Oh
if we can,
my
if we can
God.
possibly walk up here. I just want to see what law enforcement's doing. You're welcome to stay where you are.
It took like 30 seconds.
Wow, this is intense. You almost see the fire turning into little fire tornadoes as it's whipping around. It's really catching into the flames and the wind as it's crossing this road right now, pushing southwest across Lake Hughes Road, going towards the 5.
Yeah, I mean, we learned that the fire travels 17% faster when it goes uphill, so that's what we're witnessing here. We can hear the roar of those flames. Let's go ahead and listen in just for a second. Wow. Matthew, you were out there at the Palisades and the Eaton fires as well. I was just noting to Christine and our viewers that the difference between those fires and this is those were really just urban fires in that they were so all-consuming of local neighborhoods. And fortunately, there aren't a lot of structures where you are.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's mostly just a vegetation area. The lake and to our right is playing very solid defense. But as you said, this fire is just ripping and roaring up this hill. We've been able to hear it. You can feel the heat, and it's spreading rapidly. And
Yeah, no kidding, rapid. Hold on, go back. Just look at that, and then go back here when they first started this. This is insane.
yes,
Where is it?
yeah, we're off of.
Look.
Right now, the
Look
winds
at
are
that.
really whipping as the flames are pushing closer very fast.
To that.
Especially as the
Oh
flame
my
gets closer.
God.
And you can almost see it take the flames and just continue to push it. And yeah, now we're seeing some thick black smoke over here. It looks like a tree is lighting on fire on the other end of this parking lot. I just lost my communication and my IFB, so I will no longer be able to hear you. But I want to make sure I'll try to dial back in as we can just take all this in. Remarkable as the flames are getting to the edge of the parking lot where we're standing right now. And it's almost creating its own weather pattern. And you can almost sense the urgency of people here as it's getting closer. I feel like we're in a safe place. If we need to keep pushing, we will. But yeah, look at that. Right now, the power pole's up in flames.
Wow.
And it's continuing to rapidly push.
You might want to get out of there,
we
buddy.
hear the emergency alarms going on people's phones.
I lost IFB.
And we lost communication, so I'll try to dial back in, but we'll just keep this shot up right now.
Thank you.
Remarkable to see.
Yeah, so we heard our photographer there on the scene also talk about losing communication with us. Glad to know they are there with firefighters as well. But look at that spread. It is absolutely terrifying as we watch this there on the ground. We saw a FOS check drop from the top of your screen on the left. Don't know if it's anywhere near where these firefighters are and our crew is, but we are concerned, of course, for their safety, Marla.
This,
yes.
Trying to prevent it from crossing.
Okay.
Right, oh, they're making a drop right now. You can hear the siren, and then we're going to see it drop.
Matthew, we're going to let you be just for a moment. We want to get to Haley Winslow. She's embedded literally with the inmate fire crews there. Haley?
For about the last 5 minutes or so, yeah, what they're trying to do is burn the fire back. They're lighting literally this brush on fire so that it doesn't hit the RV park and that it actually blows back the other way. So it's been pretty remarkable. Did you guys get everybody out?
Oh shit! There are structures right
They got
there.
everybody out. There's it was unbelievable. So you can see them dropping the ignite fuel on the brush, and then it's just catching on fire, and they're hoping that it's going to blow back the other way, spread back the other way, and not keep going towards these mobile homes. But pretty incredible work by these inmates from Santa Cruz, these heroes.
When you just asked them if they got everybody out, were you referring to the RV park?
These heroes, Fox News. I wonder if they actually care about prisoners. It's kind of funny. Because Fox News is usually, you know, what is it? Fear-mongering about people such as this. But in these moments, they're like, oh, heroes, such brave heroes. Okay, Fox, if you say so.
was referring to the inmates. So there were a couple dozen of them back there, and they kind of ran forward really fast before the flames got them. So I was just making sure all of them got out okay.
Got it. Okay. So this is their assignment for the day, at least for now. This inmate crew from Santa Cruz is doing his part to cut the lines there and to prevent the fire from going further into the RV park.
Why not?
This is what you're hoping for?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, talk to me about what you guys just did.
We basically met the fire to the rest of it by drip torching.
Looks pretty good, you guys. Good work. That was remarkable. I've never seen anything like that.
Awesome. Thank you. We appreciate it.
And you're hoping that it blows back the other way?
Yeah, for sure it will.
For sure it will, they said. So,
You sure?
They just saved
It
all
feels
of these
like it's
RV,
kind of blowing
RVs,
back
and all these
in the
people
other
that are counting on
direction.
them. So, really, really heroic work.
The mode section.
Did they come?
So we went up and down this kind of like makeshift fire line, Marla, I'm sorry, and they were putting ignition fuel on it, and then we'd basically just run as the flames let up, and now the fire is kind of pushing back the other way towards the lake, towards Castaic Lagoon.
Yeah, unfortunately, we saw those devastating images from the Palisades fire with RV parks that were completely wiped out there along PCH. These inmate fire crews doing their part to hopefully keep the Castaic RV park intact. It looks like a massive RV park. Can you estimate hundreds of RVs there? Dozens? What do you think, Haley?
Let's see. I would say there's 50 on this row. There's probably...
You think it's insane that we use prisoners? I do too. But what I think is equally insane is that prisoners actually want this job because of how bad the prison system is in the United States. Whoopsies, I did not mean to just open.
At least a couple thousand RVs.
Wow. So it is. It's a massive RV park. I'm going to look that up just to do my own due diligence back here. That was a beautiful shot we just saw from your camera. Thanks to your photographer out there, the Justin O'Brien behind the camera with that water drop.
Yeah, he's on it. He's our guy from Skyfox as well. So also doing some remarkable work. So now they're going to continue doing the same thing over here. We'll try to show you it in action once again. So it's pretty quickly. They line up right along this kind of makeshift fire road, and then they ignite the dry brush, and then it just goes up, and so far it's working.
Haley, can you ask them, have they been fighting the other fires we've had here in Southern California?
Have you guys been fighting the other fires in Southern California?
Yes, we have.
Wow, what was that like for you guys?
It's been a ride, that's for sure. We just demobbed today, and here we are again.
Just when you think it's over, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Anything can happen out here.
Yeah, that's...
All right, this was like, I think this was like 16 hours ago or something like that.
Now it has grown by more than 3,000 acres. Again, this started just about 5 hours ago.
This might be in the wrong order. Whatever, let's go here.
We're following breaking news. A new wildfire in Southern California is forcing thousands of evacuations. It's called a Hughes fire, and it broke out in northwest Los Angeles County Wednesday, about 15 miles northwest of Santa Clarita. It quickly scorched more than 8,000 acres of land. It's also forced the closure of some highways in the area, including part of Interstate 5. The Palisades and Eaton fires both continue to burn as well for more than 2 weeks. CBS News Los Angeles spoke with residents in Castaic, California, who were racing to grab their essentials before evacuating.
We're packing like our important documents, a little bit of clothes, just essentials, first aid kits. I'm concerned, but I'm not going to panic. I'm trying to stay calm and collected.
I have my clothes, and I had to go get my daughter's dog because the air was so bad, and I got back, and I was supposed to evacuate, so here I go.
Since January 7th, more than 42,000 acres of land have burned throughout Los Angeles County due to multiple wildfires. CBS News correspondent Jonathan Vigliotti joins us now from Castaic, California. Jonathan, what's the scene where you are?
Yeah, Lindsay, you could probably make out the smoke billowing behind me on the horizon. That's actually a good sign because about 30 minutes ago, That was a wall of flames that fire crews here on the ground were able to quickly contain. We arrived here early this afternoon local time, and we watched as wind gusts exceeding 50 miles per hour fanned the flames from the mountainous area where this fire first sparked this morning, pushing them closer to communities. Castaic Lake is an area, I'd say, about 50 miles north of Los Angeles. You have thousands of people now under mandatory evacuations and hundreds of fire crews now here on scene, really trying to actively stop these flames from reaching neighborhoods. The threat is very real. The wind gusts will continue to blow through tomorrow afternoon, Lindsay.
What are the other concerns that you're encountering? Do firefighters have what they need in terms of air support, water?
They do. You've got hundreds of firefighters that are here on the ground and also attacking these flames from helicopters and air tankers. 15 air tankers are here, what are known as super scoopers that dive in to collect water and dump that water on the flames are also here. They've been able to make some progress because keep in mind, this was a very remote area where this fire broke out. But still, when you have those wind gusts, it's an all-out battle with firefighters to prevent those flames from pushing into neighborhoods. You can probably hear the sound of a helicopter overhead. Fortunately, there is a lake here with a ton of water. They have been conducting water drops throughout the afternoon. They will continue through the evening as long as the wind permits.
So the wind is strong enough to still be a danger and impose a red flag warning, but not so strong that it is grounding aircraft. Can you explain to us the weather situation and also what you're watching out for this weekend?
Yeah, exactly. Once wind gusts exceed 40 to 50 miles per hour, all aerial attacks have to remain grounded. 30 miles per hour, you could have helicopters up in the air. Once that exceeds 30 miles, they're grounded. The big air tankers can work in more extreme wind conditions. That's why they're able to conduct this work. But if the wind does exceed 50 miles per hour,
60 mile per
that
hour
aerial
winds.
battle will stop. It will become a ground assault, which is very difficult considering just how remote this fire was when.
Wow. All right, let's keep this going. There's a bunch of coverage. I'm trying to get us to current right now.
Afternoon.
Let's go ahead and listen in
to the joint press conference for the Hughes fire. We're going to announce Chief Maroney. He's going to start it off, and then he's going to subsequently, they're going to announce each other. We have Fire Chief Maroney, Sheriff Robert Luna, Chief Robert Garcia, Joe Tyler, and the Mayor of Santa Clarita, Bill Miranda. We'll start this press conference off with Fire Chief Anthony Maroney.
So good evening. On behalf of Board Chair and 5th District Supervisor Catherine Barger, we're holding a press conference to give important information to the community of Santa Clarita and the Castaic area. I am Anthony Maroney, Chief of the Los Angeles County Fire Department. The Hughes fire is now estimated to be over 9,400 acres with 0% containment, with no structures reported damaged or destroyed. We have over 4,000 firefighting personnel assigned to the incident, and we had a very robust ground and air response to the incident that you see behind me. The LA County Fire Department is in unified command with the Angeles National Forest, and we are getting assistance from our state partners at CAL FIRE. I wanted to give a weather update because the weather is what's predominantly driving this fire and its spread right now. The National Weather Service has extended the red flag warning through 10 a.m. on Friday for most of Los Angeles and Ventura counties. Light to moderate Santa Ana winds will continue tonight.
Wait, so that means 20 hours left of this extreme wind?
Into Thursday. The situation remains dynamic, and the fire remains a difficult fire to contain, although we are getting the upper hand.
Although I guess this
would now like to invite up Los Angeles.
He said noon on Friday, right?
County Sheriff Robert Luna to give an update on evacuations and the closure of the I-5. Thank you.
Good evening to everybody, and thank you, Chief Maroney. So for us, obviously in unified command with our partners at the fire department from the very beginning of this fire incident. And right now, the numbers that I have is that we have approximately 31,000 people who are affected by our evacuation orders. Another 23,000 that are impacted by evacuation warnings. Along with the work that our deputies have been doing, and you've seen them going from neighborhood to neighborhood, making sure that we are protecting the neighborhoods to make sure nobody gets hurt, traffic ingress and egress, and also, unfortunately, when we talk about fires, our staff knows that immediately they start what we call looter suppression, just to make sure that no one's coming into the area to take advantage when people are evacuating their homes. So I want to make sure people know that if you leave your homes, there will be additional deputies working out there in the neighborhoods to make sure your homes are safe. In regards to staffing, we are staffing up. You hear sirens in the distance. They're not only fire apparatus, but you see deputies coming in from different parts of the county. You see our incident management team over my left shoulder setting up with the big trailers that will assume responsibility for this incident from the Sheriff's Department perspective, and again, in unified command with all of our partners. We have what I estimate well over 400 personnel total regarding this incident and managing other incidences around the county of Los Angeles. I do want to bring your attention to the fact that during this incident, one of the areas that initially was an evacuation warning that did turn into an evacuation order was our Pitches Detention Center, which is not too far from here. The Pitches Detention Center has actually 3 different facilities. One of the facilities was evacuated. In discussing this with our partners from the fire department who are experts in this area, they recommended and we agreed that the one facility, PD South, would be evacuated. That had approximately 476 inmates. We moved those inmates to another facility on the campus. The other 2 campuses are structured much better than the one that we evacuated.
Okay. I'm just going to keep going through these because we're still like 15 hours behind. You can see that this is approaching nighttime, and at nighttime you can see just how much is burned. It's so much easier to see it. Oh my god, look how much. They were not kidding about the size of this thing. It just blew up. Blew up. 50x in 2 hours. 100 acres to 5,000 acres to... I mean, now it's well over 10,000. Oh my god. What is that? Jesus Christ. That must be the edge of the fire. Wow, those flames are so high. It's gonna be hundreds of feet in the air. It's hard to tell without any sort of context clues. Wow. This really gives you a picture of just how close this is to everything. I think this must be Castaic, the whole town. You can basically see it here from the air. Or at least a good portion of it, it would seem.
Copy that.
Is a hurricane coming
Yes.
to Ireland? In January? Get out. Oh, God.
We do begin tonight with the breaking news. A new wildfire just breaking out in Los Angeles County, exploding in size. This fire just north of L.A. The images coming in right now. Take a look. 55,000 people are being told to evacuate at this hour with these dangerous Santa Ana winds back and fueling the flames. This is the Hughes fire, spreading 30 acres a minute. Those evacuation orders now underway. Red flag warnings are up. Families racing out, driving perilously close to the flames. Students at Castaic High School running from school with darkening skies overhead. In fact, at least 5 schools are inside the evacuation zone tonight. Take a look at live pictures right now from our station KABC in Los Angeles, right up over the fire. You can see the thick, dark smoke with these winds expected right into the overnight hours. I-5 right there at the bottom of your screen in the beginning there, closed in both directions at this hour. Tonight, those red flag warnings for more than 10 million people, with crews already battling multiple fires. ABC's chief national correspondent Matt Gutman leading us off. He's right there on the scene tonight.
Tonight, squadrons of helicopters attacking a massive new wildfire exploding just north of Los Angeles. Homes threatened, tens of thousands ordered to leave now.
Whoa, what is that? Why are you pausing?
Now.
So what's really frightening about this fire is how quickly it took off.
The Hughes fire raging out of control in Castaic, devouring 30 acres per minute, fueled by bone-dry conditions and powerful Santa Ana winds. Students running out of this high school, midday skies darkening with smoke and that ominous orange glow. At least 5 schools so far evacuated.
I was really scared because I thought I was going to get really hurt.
And at least 55,000 people in the evacuation zone.
We got our dogs out. My niece, that's a baby that's in here, we got her out.
And what you're seeing is the epic firefight from the sky. Look how low that fire. Helicopters swooping down right over that tree, dousing it right in this area. There have got to be over 100 firefighters here trying to contain this.
Tony Cup.
All right, I'm going to keep going through this footage here. Hold on. I'm going to skip a couple because we don't really need this one, I don't think. It's just another live stream from like 10 hours ago.
Let's carry on that conversation with Cal Fire Battalion Chief Brent Pasqua.
As these aircraft come through.
Let's go to this. 13 News Now from 15 hours ago. A dozen new wildfires threaten. A dozen? How did I not read this title when I was adding this video? A dozen? It's not just the one? Oh my god. How's that possible?
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
How is that possible?
I got
Right now, firefighters in California are battling nearly a
Whoops,
dozen
wrong
new
screen. My
wildfires
bad.
in Los Angeles County. It comes days after the Palisades and Eaton fires burned entire neighborhoods to the ground. ABC's Zoreen Shah has the story.
Night, tens of thousands of California residents ordered to leave their homes as a fast-moving fire rages through their communities. The Hughes fire in Castaic is rapidly spreading, powered by the same Santa Ana winds that helped
Oh my God,
bring
another
down
fire
thousands of
NATO.
homes in the last few weeks in Altadena, the Palisades, and Malibu. At least 5 schools have been evacuated, these students racing away from their campus. Tonight, over 50,000 people are under evacuation orders.
We got our dogs out. My niece, that's a baby that's in here, we got her out.
We've been dealing with this for how long? The fires? It's emotionally exhausting, physically exhausting.
This place is only one of roughly a dozen Southern California wildfires erupting in the past day. And now an investigation into the messaging system that broke out in LA earlier this month, and if quicker actions could have saved lives. An LA County supervisor demanding an independent investigation into the electronic emergency alerts for the fire in Altadena and Pasadena that killed at least 28 people and destroyed over 7,000 structures.
It's important to gather all the facts so we have a complete picture of what happened and how the system was put to work to protect lives.
All of this coming as the region will face another big test later this week. With heavy rains in the forecast, California's governor is moving resources to help protect communities impacted by the recent fires, fearing landslides and the spreading of possible debris and chemicals. Zoreen Shah, ABC News Los Angeles.
And another fire emergency in Southern California tonight. The Hughes fire burning out of control near Castaic. The latest on the fight against the wind-driven flames from the ground and the air.
And more than 50,000 people under evacuation orders or warnings tonight as residents are forced from their homes with the fire burning near heavily populated communities.
And smoke and ash from the Hughes fire causing air quality concerns across Southern California tonight. The warning about the harmful chemicals that can affect your health. Now on the news at 10. Good evening, I'm Micah Ullman.
And I'm Cher Calvin. Firefighters are waging a fierce attack against another massive wildfire burning out of control in Southern California tonight, the Hughes fire near Castaic.
The wind-driven fire broke out just before 11 o'clock this morning and exploded in size, scorching more than 10,000 acres in just hours. Tonight, firefighters are attacking the flames from the air and the ground, hoping to gain an upper hand before the Santa Ana winds increase in the overnight hours. We have live team coverage with a team of reporters and meteorologist Vera Jimenez standing by live.
And we begin with John Finolio with the latest on the firefight and efforts to stop the flames from spreading. John.
Cher and Micah, we're on Tapia Canyon Road, just off Interstate 5. The wind has picked up a bit here, and with it, the flames burning from the Hughes fire here in the hills near Castaic. You can see fire crews on the ridge line there with some of the flames kicking up over the ridge. We can tell you tonight that more than 4,000 firefighters are battling this blaze from the ground and the air. Tonight, the Hughes fire chewing through steep, dry terrain in Castaic and northwestern LA County. The blaze erupting just before 11 Wednesday morning on Lake Hughes Road near Castaic Lake. First reported at some 50 acres before exploding in size, scorching thousands of acres within just a few hours.
Look at that.
Authorities ordering 31,000 people to evacuate, some 23,000 told to prepare to leave.
We're just going to hope for the best and hang tight until we have to leave and then leave and go.
Thick black smoke looming over surface streets snarled with traffic. The wind-driven flames prompting the closure of Interstate 5 from the Grapevine to State Route 126 for several hours before reopening by 7 p.m.
These fires, they grow very quickly, and they, due to the weather and the topography and the fuels that we're seeing, it went pretty quick.
Fire Captain Jay Tracy is from the city of Fresno, now a designated spokesperson for the Hughes fire. one of the thousands of firefighters who responded to SoCal's wildfire crisis. He says roughly 4,000 firefighters are battling the blaze, including a massive air attack using airplanes and helicopters.
They had 2 VLATs, which are the very large air tankers, which are the DC-10s. They had some large air tankers, which are your C-130s and some of the B-2s and some of the other aircraft that are a little bit smaller in size. And then they had a lot of the different rotor aircraft available. You saw the LA County Firehawks flying a little bit earlier.
What's the biggest challenge tonight in terms of containing this fire, just trying to stay on top of it?
Well, the biggest challenge is they've got the resources and they're just trying to effectively put them to use. At night, it's always a little more precarious. You're in really steep and very rugged terrain, so it's hard to get boots on the ground into these areas.
All right, I'm back here live. The good news, fire officials say no homes have been destroyed, but it's the potential for powerful Santa Ana winds, and then, of course, this steep, dry, rugged terrain that is making this firefight difficult tonight.
Which one's this?
The Hughes fire is burning out of control.
Okay, this was from
on the northeastern end of Castaic Lake.
This was 7 hours ago, I guess.
Evacuation warnings are
which would have been
in place.
8 a.m.
Impacting the
8
Interstate
a.m.
5 around Gorman and
in
Castaic.
California.
Parts of the highway were temporarily closed, but
7?
have since reopened to traffic.
7, 8 a.m.
The fire has scorched more than 10,000 acres, and it's just 14% contained. As the flames spread in the Hughes fire, families raced to grab their belongings.
Devastating. We heard from a mother and daughter near Castaic Lake who were forced to evacuate.
My neighbor and I had just walked around the lake, and I had just been home 2 or 3 minutes when she texted me, and I said, no, we just walked around the lake. There was nothing there. And I went outside. I looked down the street. I didn't see anything. And I went to the backyard, and then that's when I saw the smoke. And yeah, it was fast. I can't imagine going back to the neighborhood and not seeing my house there.
So sad. They said police officers helped guide everyone in the neighborhood to safety. We're going to have more on these fires in a moment, including live reports at the top of the hour. President Trump will be in LA tomorrow to survey damage from the recent fires, but today he's turning his attention to sanctuary cities as he prepares to sign a measure into law.
His crackdown on illegal immigration is already drawing legal battles, and as Douglas Zader reports from Washington this morning, U.S. troops will soon be heading down to the southern border.
As expected, the president is moving very quickly on immigration, and in his first sit-down interview since taking office, he railed against Democrats who are already opposing his efforts.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much. President Trump still settling back into the Oval Office, sitting down yesterday for his first extended interview since returning to the White House. His immigration and border strategy is coming into sharper focus, and he's...
Okay, you all know, I assume, that the 8-ball is in fact just a what do you call it? It's just an 8-ball. All right, I made this this command from Nightbot. It has actually, I don't know exactly how many options there are, but it's just coding. It's just some coding, very basic coding that just shoots out random answers like an 8-ball that you shake around. And you know, it's not as good as the Nightbot command. It doesn't utilize ChatGPT to give you answers, unfortunately. Completely different commands. And the fact is, I'm kind of glad that ChatGPT bot doesn't work anymore. I know it makes some people sad, but it was just using up a bunch of unnecessary energy to give us pretty shitty answers oftentimes. So I'm not that upset about the loss. But just so you know, don't expect 8-ball Nightbot command to give you anything more than predictions. Okay?
Fire crews are once again scrambling to stop a wildfire. The Hughes fire, burning north of LA, has ripped through more than 10,000 acres and about 4,000 hectares in less than a day, and it's only 14% contained. To Tens of thousands of people have been forced to evacuate, and the National Weather Service has extended a red flag warning for most of Los Angeles and Ventura counties until early Friday.
That is not good, guys. Not good at all.
Well, students attending the Castaic Middle School and High School were among those evacuated Wednesday. The California Highway Patrol says they wound up in a supermarket parking lot.
It happened real fast. Like, it was like a little bit of fire, and then we went outside like that, and there was a lot of fire. Like, it was crazy.
Well, dark plumes of smoke also providing an eerie backdrop to the rides at an amusement park in nearby Valencia, which was forced to close. The fear is that growing winds overnight and dry brush will provide new fuel for the flames.
Right now, our priority is the front of the fire front. We have engines at the houses that are in front of this fire, there to protect those structures. We're concentrating the aircraft where you see the orange glow. That's our main priority, is to slow this fire down and eventually stop it. And then we'll worry about getting a fire perimeter cut around the whole thing once we get the main head of this fire slowed down and put out.
Well, CNN's Veronica Miracle has our report from the fire zone.
Right now, 31,000 people are currently under mandatory evacuation orders. We are just 45 minutes away from the last deadly and destructive fire that burned in Los Angeles just a few days ago, the Eaton fire. This is the Hughes fire that you're looking at, and you can see the flames roaring behind us over that hillside. Luckily, the fire is burning right now in an area that is desolate. It's just shrubs and a lot of plants, and it's not moving toward residences, but there is, of course, major concern that winds could shift, winds could pick up and blow embers in the direction of houses, of businesses. There's also an RV park just right over the hill there. So firefighters have descended upon this community coming from the Eaton fire.
Is it just me, or does she kind of look like Aubrey Plaza?
Firefighters have descended upon this. There's also an RV
right?
And blow embers in the direction of houses.
Am I losing my mind?
There's also an RV park just right over the hill there. So firefighters have descended upon this community coming from the Eaton fire and the Palisades fire, moving over here. About 4,000 of them are working to make sure that they can contain this overnight and take advantage of cooler temperatures and lower winds. Veronica Miracle, CNN, Castaic, California.
Well, a retired CAL FIRE operations chief spoke to CNN earlier about what worries him the most about the Hughes fire.
Several thousand people have had to be evacuated because you're running into conditions that have extreme wind coupled with steep terrain and heavy fuels. And access points in rural areas are more difficult as well. And so the conditions for doing direct fire attack, doing perimeter control operations are challenging right now until those winds subsided. And I believe that that's the case, that they have subsided somewhat since the daytime. But what is expected is that they're going to come up again tomorrow. And so the work that they're trying to do right now is going to be key during the night to make sure that they can try to get this contained ahead before the wind speed picks up in those areas.
A new evacuation warning just issued in the LA neighborhood of Sherman Oaks because of a new fire there. People were seen leaving overnight as firefighters scrambled to try to put out those flames. Crews had already been battling the Hughes fire, which started yesterday. As of this morning, that fire is about 14% contained. You can see the smoke from that fire in this video from inside the cockpit of a California Air National Guard plane. Some people trying to save their home.
Oh my God. We were just talking about this fire up here. Wait, where is it? Here, Castaic, right? So the fire we've been talking about this whole time, the Hughes fire, over here in Castaic, 10,000 acres, right? Now, she's saying, where is it? God damn it. It's like right here. Oh my God, it's even further south. It's like right here. Where is it? I can't find it on the map. Where is it? Sherman Oaks. Bel Air. Beverly Crest, Beverly Park. I know it's like right here. Hold on. Yeah, right here. Look at it. Right here. Right there. Oh my god. Get the fuck out.
Fire, which started yesterday. As of this morning, that fire is about 14% contained. You can see the smoke from that fire in this video from inside the cockpit of a California Air National Guard plane. Some people trying to save their homes from the flames.
Everybody's watering their roofs. We are doing this house and the house next to us. We're hoping for the best. It's getting worse. It gets better, it gets worse, it gets better, it gets worse, but we have no expectations.
Joining us now is Ariel Cohen, meteorologist in charge at the National Weather Service station in Los Angeles. Ariel, thanks for being back on the show this morning. I appreciate it. Can you give us the latest on where this fire...
By the way, unlike usually, like with the regular late night streams, I have watched almost none of this stuff that we're watching now. We're all watching it together for the first time, I think.
What the status is it
Maybe
getting worse,
you've watched
getting better?
it, but I have
What
not.
the fight looks like.
Yes, we have 2 wildfires right now in Los Angeles County that continue to grow at this point. There's definitely been a lot of work done also to slow their growth, and we're seeing that. One is in northwest Los Angeles County. That's the Hughes Fire, and that developed explosively during the daytime hours on Wednesday. Early this Thursday morning, the environment remains highly conducive for these fires to continue to spread and any new fires to develop and grow very significantly if there were to be ignitions. The Sepulveda fire also had expanded across portions of the eastern Santa Monica's, including the 405, threatening some areas that are very highly populated. And so overall, remain at a very high state of readiness when it comes to the fact that we're still dealing with this prolonged extreme fire weather event across Southern California.
Can you give us an idea, for people who don't live in the Los Angeles area, but maybe familiar with, some of the many landmarks that do exist? This fire, I understand, is close to some of them. I mean, what areas might people recognize that are under threat right now?
Exactly. The area around the Getty Museum is definitely an area where evacuation warnings have been issued earlier.
Again?
And everyone needs to be paying attention to the potential for evacuation warnings or orders. If an evacuation order is issued for your area, you have to take that.
Do you remember we were talking about the Getty Museum being under threat? What was it? It was like 2 weeks ago from the Palisades fires. Or was it the Eaton fire? Whichever one it was. Jesus.
Seriously, leave now. You don't want to wait at all. Seconds make the difference between life and death. This particular fire is not too far away from UCLA, not too far away from Beverly Hills area, although it is more located over the eastern extent of the Santa Monica Mountains and southwest LA County. Farther to the north, the Hughes Fire is located far from the main population center of Los Angeles. However, communities around Castaic and Castaic Lake are certainly being impacted by all of the smoke, as well as the fire spreading around the perimeter of Castaic Lake. And so, as we head through the remainder of the overnight hours, the pre-dawn hours of Thursday, we're dealing with the continued red flag conditions, highly critical conditions. Everyone has to stay at a
48 hours ago, I thought this was all coming, sort of wrapping up, and now the cleanup. Everybody was talking about the cleanup and how quickly they needed to clean up all the ashes and debris before the rains are supposed to come in like next week or something like that. And it's like it all just restarted. This is insane.
State of readiness, not only for these fires, but any other fires that, if they were to form, could grow rapidly,
Do I have a general schedule? I try to stream at night, usually 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today was completely out of the blue. I've been dealing with a bunch of stuff lately. I was pretty sure that Leftist Mafia is going to stream tonight at 10 p.m., which is like, a lot of the biggest sort of left streamers around there. Usually I try not to stream Thursday nights, but I usually try and stream every night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. but it's been a little bit sporadic lately. Yeah. I used to try and get, was it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, but I haven't managed to stick to that schedule as well as I'd like to. I do try and let people know in the Discord whenever I do start a stream.
Explosively, and everyone needs to know where to go, have that go kit, and have multiple ways to receive emergency information from emergency management officials and law enforcement, because again, those seconds make the difference between life and death when it comes to these evacuation orders.
Absolutely. And Ariel, the winds, what is the forecast in terms of how long those winds may continue to last, or will there be a reprieve here in the coming days?
You know, unfortunately, we're looking at these strong winds to continue on and up, especially over the higher elevations as we head through the daytime on Thursday.
Okay, let's keep this going. That was CNN from 7 hours ago. We're getting much, much closer to current. This is NBC from 5 hours ago.
So we're going to begin in Los Angeles, where more than 50,000 people are under mandatory evacuation orders or warning.
By the way, it's true. In space, no one hears you emoji. It's a scary fact.
After the Hughes fire erupted near Castaic late yesterday. The National Weather Service has issued red flag warnings until Friday for more than 19 million people across Southern California. The fire broke out around 11 a.m. Wednesday morning, and within hours, it exploded across more than 10,000 acres.
This new fire is just adding to the trauma of the past 3 weeks after the Palisades and Eaton wildfires decimated thousands of homes and killed dozens of people in Los Angeles. Both of those are now partially contained, but officials warn these are still 3 major active wildfires, and some residents are deeply worried about the unrelenting conditions.
It's nerve-wracking for sure, especially with all the other fires that have happened in Palisades and Altadena and Pasadena. So yeah, I'm a little nervous right now.
NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin is live in Valencia, California. That's just south of Castaic. Dana, good morning. I mean, officials say so far no homes or buildings have been damaged, but what are conditions like right now, and just how bad could it get?
Yeah, Joe, Savannah, good morning to you. I think this is the best case scenario. We are not seeing any active flames from where we are. We are actually at a command post where we can see some National Guard vehicles actually stationed here. They have not been deployed to our knowledge, but this just shows the resources that have been on standby and ready to respond just in case. And I think that is to credit what happened here yesterday. Firefighters were able to attack the Hughes fire very quickly. This was such a fast-moving wildfire. That's why it was very concerning for residents. But as you can see, the fire there's been no forward progression of the fire. It stopped at about 10,000 acres. So this is the best case scenario. There are still some evacuation orders in place, but for residents, for now, they can breathe a little sigh of relief. Savannah?
Dana, nearly 31,000 people forced to evacuate so far. I know another 23,000 under those evacuation warnings. What are officials saying about what could happen here, about this fire, how it's different maybe from the Palisades and Eaton fires we've been talking about?
Yeah, that's such a good point. I will say that when the Palisades and Eaton fires broke out 2 weeks ago, that was that particularly dangerous situation where you had 100-mile-per-hour winds. This came in overnight, so caught a lot of people off guard. And also a lot of homes were closer together, much more densely populated neighborhoods compared to this fire, the Hughes fire, that started in a remote area in the hills and the mountains. So crews were able to spot it, try to drop water on it, and people saw this one coming. And this time around, officials say that more people evacuated. They didn't have to try to plead with people to leave like we had a couple of weeks ago. And that was also key. And I think because of the trauma that we've experienced in the LA, people are on edge.
All right, let's go here. This was Fox from 4 hours ago. Fox weather.
We have 2 new fires burning in Southern California this morning.
This is the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Mandatory evacuation order is in effect.
All right, a very eerie sound, and one I've actually seen in person, and tough stuff coming out of Southern California, LA County, Ventura County yet again. Those strong offshore winds continuing even into the afternoon. Lower elevation can expect gusts of 35 to 50 miles per hour. These winds, they may feed new fires or just continue to fan the fires that are already burning. Fire warnings are in place through at least Friday morning. And then we have some improvement. But till then, Fox News chief correspondent Jonathan Hunt joining us this morning out of Castaic, California. You're just to the north of Santa Clarita, off of the I-5 corridor. And Jonathan, here we are again. Talk about fatigue. Talk about not being able to catch a break. 2 new fires this morning as we start the day in Southern California.
Yeah, Marissa, it's been another 24 hours of sheer terror for tens of thousands of residents. We're in Castaic right now, which is at the center, or was at the center, of the Hughes fire. But a bit of good news this morning, Marissa, as we give you a look across Castaic Lake. You can just see the smoke on the far edge of the lake there and some embers burning. But essentially, firefighters with some heroic work yesterday and the full support of aircraft dropping fire retardant and water have managed to push the flames back, and they are now burning essentially into a wilderness area. And as I understand it, I think it was maybe 1 or 2 structures only that burned so far in the Hughes fire, which is remarkable when you realize how close those flames were getting to towns like Castaic and a little further south, Santa Clarita. So some good news on this fire this morning. Obviously yesterday it was a terrifying situation for all of those residents who were under evacuation orders, and having seen what has happened in LA, in the LA area over the last couple of weeks, people were taking those evacuation orders very seriously, much more seriously, I think, than they have done in the past. So they got out, they went to the shelters, everybody was doing exactly what they were supposed to do. And then late last night, it would have been the early hours of the morning East Coast time, we had another fire breakout in the Sepulveda area. That is very near the iconic Getty Center, also very near to a lot of high-end homes in the Bel Air neighborhood of Los Angeles. Again, the firefighters sprang into action very quickly, and they have stopped the forward progress of that fire at this point. So we're not going through a rerun, thank goodness, of what we saw in Altadena, the Eaton fire, and of course the Palisades fire, where there was so much destruction. And talking of those fires, President Trump is due to visit California tomorrow. And
okay.
Good morning. You know,
I'm
tens
going to
of
skip
thousands.
ahead. This is from 3 hours ago. This is such a crazy fucking job to have. All right, now this is the live stream.
Live now from Fox, and right now we still have other live feeds that are coming into our newsroom. First, I want to show you this shot that we have there of the nation's capital. As you can see, we are close.
You don't need to look at the nation's capital right now.
Let's start at the family and from
the land increased modestly from 2012 to 17, an average increase of 0.
So we'll.
as well from Bill Malusian, Fox News.
Why do they have this called Live California Fires? And yet they don't have the fire? What in the fuck? Come on, Fox. Wow. Okay. Might end it here. I'm gonna try and maybe do a stream later tonight, because I hear Leftist Mafia isn't actually streaming at their normal time, so might do my normal stream here at 10 tonight if I can manage to pull myself together in the next 4 hours for that. I think Vanguard is still streaming, so if you want to help me raid them here, I'm gonna do that right now. Whoops, go here. Yeah. I'll try and update you all later further on where these fires are at. I know that the winds are supposed to be picking up over the next few hours in California. So we will probably have more news on where this is at tonight if I do stream, which I'm hoping to, like I said. So yeah, here we go. I'm going to redirect to Vanguard. Spread the galactic love. Tell them where you came from. Make sure that everyone knows the Galactic News Network is on the case. Where do I do this? Redirect. Oh, I think I have to go here, don't I? I do. Yeah, go here, go here. Go to edit. Not live. Go there. Yes, there we go. Perfect. It showed up immediately. Awesome. All right, chat. I will see you all very soon. Hopefully.